Hi there and welcome back, my friend, to Torment, Tides of Numenera. We're in the crypt of Ronus Kaisul entombed herein. And we're looking for his history that is closely connected to the children of the Endless Gate and to Choi Kaisul. And to a woman named Marquisa, whose tomb, an explorer whose tomb lies at 1254. We'll see if we can find out more. Possible. The code for Marquisa's tomb is the same as that of the Endless Gate. Interesting. And now we want to know about the experiments. Roy Kaisul. Voice speaks. Experiments included vivisection and necrosection on a variety of creatures across the Protectorate's biome. These led to investigations into cross-dimensional manifestations and psychosis, a field of study Kaisul abandoned upon the death of his daughter. A formal list of scientific citations follows. West. A subdued male voice speaks. While Scholark, Kaisul liquidated the overwhelming majority of his estate shortly before his disappearance. Certainly family trusts and ongoing honoraria and royalties remained. These were assigned to the Aeon priests of Sagus Cliffs until confirmation of Kaisul's death. At that time, his remaining properties escheated to the city. List of financial instruments and revenue sources scrolls across the screen. The genealogy. Voice of indeterminate gender reports. Scholar Kaisul Nee Genwin conducted extensive research into his background. He has uncovered trace evidence that he is distantly related to the slave families, though further research suggests that his particular branch was excised 150 years prior to his birth. He married Rinda Kaisul, whose grave is in Sagus Cliffs, and they produced one daughter named Choi. She perished, and with her passing, both the Kaisul and Genwin lines vanished. Oh. We need to go to Sagus Cliffs too. And research for Rinda. Kaisul. Leave here. That is also disturbing.
All right.
Look into more here. And covering that all. We'll enter another code. And we'll enter the 1254. And we'll travel to Marquisa's tomb, supposedly the one of the Endless Gate. Will we now find more here? We can talk to something, is that true? Blood does not obscure it. Vaguely humanoid shadows lie within these pools.
I'm going.
Can we do that again? No. When you stumbled across his tomb before, you didn't know that you'd return on Ronus Kaisul's instructions, but perhaps you should have known. Guided with the knowledge of Marquisa's name, you search more thoroughly this time. Perhaps you will uncover something valuable amidst the offal. Look more closely at the children's right. Incomprehensible scratches and scrolls, all of them, and you can't make sense of them, yet somehow they fill you a vague and nameless horror. Amidst the bloody rants and paeans, you find a symbol carved into the stone itself. You recognize it as the sigil of the children of the Endless Gate, surrounded by scrolls to an unnameable and alien god. Touch the symbol because we're so curious. As you reach out to touch the symbol, a spark flares from it, and you feel your tattoo blazing in sympathy. The rock under the symbol evaporates, as if it were transmuting itself into another dimension, revealing large niche. Within is a thing of strange dimensions and impossible angles, spun from an unearthly metal that seems to flow as you examine it. Its branching limbs cross in a lattice that holds no clear pattern. Tidal energies seep from it And you recognize the sigil of the changing god stamped on its base. What else it might be, this is a Merecaster. But not one you can use, at least not now. Someone has twisted it out of alignment, and it would be impossible guesswork to return it to a proper state. The unearthly metal of this device appears to flow as you examine it, twisting itself into impossible angles. Its branching limbs cross and interweave in a lattice, shows no clear pattern. The device seems to push against the palm of your hands, as if willing you to use it. Twisted metal. We'll examine the writing again. No, we'll try to read the name again. Cannot read the name, for it is obscured by splatters of blood, smeared by the venerating touch of countless passing cultists. Still, you're fairly certain this is a tomb of Marquesa, whose proximity to Inifir must be what inspired this display of. You hardly dare call it devotion, but it's certainly effusive. Right, we'll walk away now. Maybe we should try to go to Sigur's.
All right.
Tomb of the first cast-off would be it, right? Let's return for now. As there's a field there, that could be where we need to go.
Without doubt.
I'm ready. Ready.
I mean, this thing, maybe we can progress here. We've got the open ebony box. True, it wouldn't hurt us crook rests behind the box. Take it. A bolt of light lashes out at your hand, making your arm go numb. Look inside the ebony box. Nothing new, just the edged eye at the bottom with a tiny sword-weaving figure. Center of a two-ring pupil.
Of course.
Okay.
Yes, now.
Walk again. Strange cat. So, the
I'm
thing
going.
is, we would probably return to Mirla West. That's the only thing that is
Learning begets
probably
doing.
left to do.
Or is
And
it the other
so,
way?
return to the necropolis. Let's see if we can get where we want to go.
Of course.
Sigur's Cliffs would also be interesting, of course, but time to go to Mirla West.
Yes.
We have to go to First Kastov's tomb. I believe it was that.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it is that way. I haven't played this in a long time. Yeah, here we are. Wow, blinded by the light. Now we'll have to return to Ardiris. I think she
Let's
was,
go.
yeah, she was around here. Hello again, my sister. I'm ready to give you the Merecaster. You need but ask. Yeah, I'm ready to talk to Mazov. Show me the Merecaster. You have proven to me I can trust you. Only remember what you've learned in these tasks. Be gentle with Syrian. You are violating his mind. Be true to his path. Find what you need and return without causing him harm. You have a duty to preserve his life, as he intended it, if at all possible. At all possible, yeah. Ardiris presses the box into your hands. Tidal energy swirls around it, drawing you in like a maelstrom. Focus on it, opening your innermost eye. You are torn from your body. Away. When you first open your eyes, there's only a ruddy glow and frightening shapes in shadows around you. The air is hot and stifling. As your eyes adjust, you realize you're outside, but the sky is darkened by clouds of pitch. Ruddy glow comes from lava flows as they trundle down distant mountains into the volcanic fields all around you. Sharp towers pierce the sky, tapered like the bones of a ribcage. Indeed, they look like bones in every way, as does the ground beneath you. You appear to be standing on the spine of an enormous beast. The bottom of its jaw can be seen far in the distance, half buried beneath a layer of cooled lava. Most of the bone towers look identical, but one shines from the inside with an odd blue light. Top of the glowing tower has been snapped off, and what looks like a transport hovers next to its peak. It's your transport. You were sent here to find something. Twisted bridges connect the spine to the volcanic fields around you. In one direction lie enormous formations of obsidian, arcs, spires, a wall. In the other direction, a narrow pass is carved into the mountain face. The field leading to the canyon is illuminated by hundreds of glowing lights. You know this body wasn't sent to find Mazov, but Ardiris said he'd appear. Perhaps following through events will lead to him. Explore the towers around the spine. Yeah, we'll use our utmost effort. You search through tower after tower. Some of the chambers you come to are filled with piles of dead relics and broken ciphers, but nothing of value. Finally, you come across something promising. You find a staff made of some prior world metal. It's cool to the touch, unusual given the extreme temperature of the air itself, and burn marks blacken one end. Very likely this was used as a weapon. It may work again, but probably only once you take the staff with you. We're going to try to remember who we are and how we can find Mazov. You cannot remember any of the memories this body once had, but you know his name was Syrian Daywalker. You remember another name, though you don't know its significance. The Chimera. Syrian is wearing a black form-fitting suit that keeps off the worst of the heat. He carries a whip and various ornaments that remind you of the dead. Seeing the ornaments, you realize they are not just decorative. You can feel the dead around you, as well as the stories of those who died here. Syrian must have had some strange connection beyond the world of the living. Perhaps that has something to do with why he was sent on this mission. Use your connection to the dead to learn more about the area. You are in a place called the Fields of Ossifagan. And many have lived and died here, though it seems a terrible place to live. Scavengers from Sega's cliffs have been through here in recent centuries, looking treasures of the past. Before that, it was mutants fleeing revolution after bloody revolution in a place called Haref. Before that, refugees from a village called Shuena. Before that, the Ossiphagans themselves. You see a glimmer of a powerful artifact. Hundreds of years ago there was a battle here. Many died. 2 people, a middle-aged woman and a teenage girl, fought over a copper sphere at the top of the glowing bone tower. But that copper sphere is what you were sent here to find. Yeah, we'll climb the tower. You're at the top of the broken bone tower. Jagged bone walls act as a kind of parapet. From here you can see the fields of Ossiphagan even better. Spine below you, the obsidian formations in one direction and the glowing fields in front of the mountain pass in the other. Floating just next to the tower is a hovering pod made of azure steel. A ramp leads from the parapet into the transport. We'll use the connection. Learn more about the top. Little has happened here. For one event that immediately becomes apparent, you see a middle-aged woman. You know her name is Arma, facing off against a young girl named Thaya. Arma is hovering in the air like the transport does now. He holds a copper sphere that glows with a golden light. Angry words are exchanged and suddenly Thaya leaps off the tower and tackles Arma. 2 of them soar through the air with the obsidian formations in the distance. Should we enter the transport? We could go to the mountain. Let's try that. The mountain pass is still some distance away, but you're close enough to see that there's much rubble at the bottom to make your way through. Spread out in front of the cliffs is a great volcanic plain. Across the entire expanse are hundreds and hundreds of creatures lit with a dim glow that has nothing to do with the magma. You know these creatures are called fire wights. The moment they seem to be ignoring you. We'll use our connection. The dead. You see a group of people in tattered clothing march through the pass and out of these fields. They're terrified, having lost many of their number to the whites. You see 2 figures riding a small flying platform, almost like a shield. Suddenly the platform teeters and the figures fall. You can see the spot where the shield fell. And though the bodies are no longer there, you can feel their presence very strongly, and there, a short distance away, you can see where one of the figures dropped what looks like a copper sphere. We'll probably use our connection again, but we could first study the whites behavior. We can do that very well with this. Stay near them, watching for a long time. At first they seem to be just wandering without rhyme or reason. Then you realize that the shifts you feel in the air temperature are not random or natural. The whites themselves are causing them. Indeed, once you figure this out, you can see how they use the temperature of the air as a kind of communication between each other. Maybe you could use this information to slip past them. Yeah, that could be... Getting the shield. The whites don't bother you. As you try to pry the shield from the ground, after a few minutes of tugging and digging, you realize it's impossible. The rock has cooled and melted and cooled again several times around the device. It's not going anywhere. Then explore the fields carefully. Search for a time, but there's very little out here in the fields. You do find some kind of large shield embedded in the molten rock nearby. You also feel rather than see the strong presence of death here. Try to search further, but a group of fire wights crowds in and threatens you. It's going to be difficult to get past them. We'll use our connection to the dead. Though there are no bodies on the surface, you can feel the dead beneath the rock, preserved by magma that has flowed over this spot over the centuries. One is a middle-aged woman named Arma, the other is a girl, but she's strangely silent. Even with your strange powers, there's nothing there to speak with. Peace, says Arma. Better? Yes, better, Oblivion? What happened to you? Buried to death. Before that lived, before that died, before that lived and died and lived, and so many cycles, so many deaths. The air shivers, her tone drops dangerously low. Before that, someone else awoke and remembered. A fight, a girl. Limnion. Though you cannot see Arma, her presence moves through you. Turns your head, you see in the fields in the distance. He's talking about Limnion, a sphere of burnished metal, lying on the rock. There even and you know this is what you were sent here to find. Who are you? Arma? The disembodied voice sounds like it's calling Arma rather than naming herself. No, not Arma, shelled. Cast away, eaten and alive and eaten again. Not Arma, food for whites. Can't I speak, the girl? Gone, but not gone. You shudder. It's not you who is shuddering. She woke something, vengeance. You feel Arma's presence looking off toward the obsidian formations. Yes. We'll let her return to her peace. Arma becomes silent. You sense a wave of gratitude and annoyance, mostly the former than nothing. The presence is gone. You feel like no asking will bring her back. Get the sphere as well. Now that you know the whites communicate through temperature variation, you might be able to avoid their attention by feel better than sight, assuming you can figure out what the different temperatures mean. Sphere is about 300 meters away, and the whites shift around constantly. It's going to be tricky to get close. Move closer there, staying where the air is warm. Using the temperature of the air, feel where their attention might be. You close the distance to the sphere by about 100 meters. The whites don't seem to notice you. So they don't seem to notice us. Try this again. Move closer to the sphere where it's warm. You close the distance by another 100 meters. Whites still don't notice you. Warm again. The same result. Close enough. You dive forward, grabbing the sphere and tumbling away before the whites can stop you. The air suddenly becomes a sickening pattern of intense cold and heat. You have escaped the whites' attention so far, but they're paying attention to you now. Several of them attack you. Outstretched hand. Could I attack the whites with a staff we found in the towers, but it doesn't matter. You run to the spine, and the air grows colder as the whites close in. You bolt in the opposite direction. You stay on your tail all the way to the bridge and onto the spine itself. You duck into the glowing tower, heading toward the transport. As soon as you enter the tower, the air grows warm again. The whites will not enter the tower. After a while, they leave, returning the fields they came from. You are at the top of the broken bone tower. Jagged bone walls act as a kind of parapet. From here you can see the fields of Ossifagan even better. Now we have returned. We'll enter the transport. Step aboard. The transport doesn't appear to have been made with adult humans in mind. There's only room enough for you to lay down, and even then you have to roll on your side and bend in your legs slightly. As soon as you have done so, the ramp recedes. The doorway disappears. Your stomach lurches as the transport takes to the sky. At first you try to peer out of the tiny portholes. All you see is pitch black, presumably the volcano's black clouds. Eventually they are replaced by the black of a starry sky. You try to see the land below, but it's impossible in the cramped space. Hours pass. Finally the transport slows, its humming ceases, and the door reappears. Step out of the transport, stretching painfully. In a strange cavern, artifacts are strewn everywhere, various stages of repair or experimentation. One wall is covered by a network of displays showing people and scenes that mean nothing to you. The center of the room is an enormous cage made from steel tendrils that twist together at the top. The cage glows for a moment and a figure walks out. He wears a thick cloak, but his face is almost strange. It shifts and blurs, changing its features constantly. You get the impression you are seeing a person, but you can't define what that person looks like at all. His name comes to your mind immediately. The Chimera. Excellent! The Chimera's voice is metallic and artificial, shifting as often as the features of his face. His expressions slide and change, but all of them are smiling. He reaches forward and takes the sphere from you. I knew your unique gifts would come in handy, Zirian. I'm impressed that you found the Urlimnion so quickly. Chimera sets the Urlimnion on a nearby table with a clunk. He immediately picks up a variety of scanning tools, one after another, probing the Urlimnion and its secrets. He seems to have forgotten about you. You look around the cavern, but there are no entrances or exits. You know where this Mazov could be, except for the cage. You'll examine it, to figure out how it works. You take 2 steps toward the cage, but the moment you reach your hand toward it, the Chimera stops you with a bark. What do you think you're doing? Your mission is complete. I have no purpose for you out here. Where's Mazov? I need to speak with him. Mazov. The Chimera's altering voice slips from baritone to falsetto. In a rapid series of notes, a dozen different eyes narrow with suspicion. I'm not sure that Tinkerer could tell you anything useful, but I can think of no reason to deny you. Chimera turns and slides a hand along one of the metal tendrils. Although no discernible interface appears, he presses his finger against the metal twice. The cage begins to glow. The Chimera turns his attention back to the sphere, indicating you should enter the cage with a dismissive wave. 2 of the metal tendrils become a kind of doorway. On the other side, Mazov squats on some sandy alien shore. Stars twinkle in the sky behind him, but they are no stars you recognize. He picks up his head as though he heard something. He turns around to face you. One of his eye sockets is artificial, alternately projecting a human eye, a snake's eye, and something even more alien in the time he looks you over. He looks like a shipwreck survivor. Bare-chested, ragged pants, ragged beard. So he's better fed than you'd expect. Syrian, he says. His human voice, human eyes squinting in the light. What the hell's who you want, peers forward as though trying to see into the cavern. Are you really Mazov, the one who talks to machines? His brow furrows while artificial eye socket cycles through about a dozen different eye patterns in 2 seconds. His tone drops to a dangerous low. Who are you? The resonance chamber has been smashed. I need to know how to fix it. Oh, give me a sip of water. This is crazy long. Puts a hand to his chin, all anger and suspicion gone in the face of a puzzle. Well, it ain't that hard if you know the basics. The chamber's crystal, yeah? So it's grown, not built. So long as the chamber's core is intact, it should know how to grow itself. You just need a catalyst to. It trails off and looks at you and you. Why do you want to know this? The resonance chamber's only good form. It gives you an angry look. Who sent you? Why are you after this? The spectre, the being in my head, he told me if I fix it, it would stop the sorrow from hunting us down. As if barks a short bitter laugh, I don't doubt it will stop the sorrow and a great many other things. I don't know how. The changing god's trying to use you. The chamber's fixed, nobody benefits but him. You can't trust the damned world, that bastard says. How would it benefit the changing god? The resonance chamber's only good for one thing. He holds up a finger. And that's snuffing us out. The changing god plans to use it to merge all of us, every castle that still lives, back into his body. That's his plan for stopping the sorrow. He puts a grease-stained hand on your shoulder. Look, I don't know who you are or what your part in this is, but you cannot let him activate that chamber. You need, he glances over your shoulder at something in the cavern, but when you turn, see nothing more. The first is alive, he whispers, drawing your attention back to him, and she's got her own plan for the chamber. One that won't kill us all. Our sire has a new cast of body that he plans to use as a catalyst for the chamber. The first has a better plan, something that won't snuff out every last one of us. Look for her in the bloom, he says grimly. Make sure you don't. Before he can finish, you feel a wrenching twist in the center of your body, like your heart is being run dry. The vision tunnel's black, and you feel as though your body is being sucked through a steel pipe. You're being pulled out of the mirror, but it's far more painful than it ever was before. The Mazov, the cave, and everything else.
I'll remember that.
Wow. Spectre, you plant your hand on the icy floor and push. Staggering up to your feet, every inch of your body aches as though you've been crushed in a massive hand. Spectre stands before you, impassive. It may be your imagination, but he seems more solid than before. A phantom tendril, tendril coils around your forehead, cool and soothing. Find yourself staring at your hand, your solid, real hand. Across from you, the spectre is still transparent. Tendril tightens once, as if in confirmation or warning. And the sensation is gone. You're alone here with the spectre once more. He's waiting for you. Speak, frowning now. Happening, why am I in the labyrinth? The words tumble into the air and fall apart like handfuls of dust, and this time you're certain the spectre is less transparent than it was even a second ago. I brought you here, the spectre says calmly. We need to talk. We're barely hearing through the pain. But this is your mind, owned in your duel against malaise. Sharpened to a glittering edge, you inhale, clear the pain from your limbs, and gather your thoughts. Who you. Focusing, you open your eyes. The spectre, now slightly transparent, speaking again. I have something I've been meaning to tell you, you see. I haven't been completely honest with you. I'm not a part of you. You're part of me. I created you. I'm the changing God. You said you were thought that I couldn't read you because you were like most things in here. A lie, he says, his outline flickering. I'm not just some reflection. I hid my thoughts. Now I know this is a lot to take in. It means this body of yours is actually mine. I've lived in it for years. And now that we know the first is still alive, I need... What would happen to me? A good question, he says. He seems taller than he did a moment before. Once you give me my body back, your thoughts will be pushed to the back of my mind. Be frightening for a moment, disorienting maybe, but not painful. And then our thoughts would merge. You'd become a part of me again. That's his hands, and that's it. Now, give me my body back. Will we do that? I mean, that's very interesting, but we want to explore ourselves. No, this is my body. I knew you'd say that, but let's get this straight. I lived in this body. I made it for a purpose. Now you say your wisp of a life outweighs my centuries of experience? Or maybe you think my first cast-off has a better way, A magical solution to live out your false existence without price? I promise you, she has no such thing. She has always only killed to get what she wants. Self-interest is just as strong as yours and mine. The only difference between the three of us is that I am real. You wouldn't exist if it weren't for me. You don't exist apart from me. Everything you are is a byproduct. My skills, my intellect, my experiences, and now that I have the chance to stop the sorrow, to save us all, you refuse me? Who in the hells are you? The new owner of this place. It was never yours to take, the spectre says, grimacing. No, let me tell you what you are. An accident of fate, a parasite in the mind, built. I built. You're a child. I don't want to destroy you. But I will if I must. Give me control. No. Then I'll take it, the spectre says, and spreads his arms. Tidal energy pours from the air around you, flowing into the spectre. The ground itself slips around your feet, holding you in place. You feel your grip on your body, your mind slipping a finger lengths. You are diminishing. He is winning. You search your mind, your hard-earned memories, for something that will loosen his hold on you. Found the Book of Singing Thorns and read the inscription. You've fallen far from where you began. Spectre looks briefly surprised, and color bleeds from his flickering frame. He growls under his breath. Never forgotten what happened to her, not once. Outline blurs, becoming hazier. Going to rip you out of my mind. Spectre's expression hardens. You won't live that long. In another few minutes your mind will be tattered wisps of thought fading in the air. Full of feet. Struggle against the ground even as it creeps up your legs, but cannot free yourself. Don't need to fight. Yeah, I'm fighting, the spectre says in a level voice. An argument requires two people. At best you're a muscle cramp. A headache and you will subside. Give up. You fall to the ground, dwindling, wisps of your identity rising into the air like smoke. Spectre's footsteps approach, solid, real. He lays a calm, fatherly hand on your head, and you feel his fingers dig into your mind and tear it out by the roots. You yield your body up to the spectre, and your flesh falls from your mind like a burden led aside. Comes after this is not your legacy. You are no more than the one who stood aside. The vessel that remains is famed far and wide. And blow the last Thank you for watching and happy gaming to you. We'll see each other in the next episode when we try to survive again. Have a great time until then and happy gaming. This is Imran Volkan signing out. See you soon.